What's up, y'all? We're back.
Yeah, we are here.
I'm Jared, by the way.
I am Josh. Good to be here, brother. Thank you for the
Heck
invite,
yeah,
man.
It's awesome. Okay, so kick it off with the shout out section.
Yeah.
Gotta shout out Crazy Panzos. That said I would. Go check that channel out. It's awesome.
Yeah, man.
And one thing I need to point out, we're big fans of the Christopher Guest movies.
Oh, yes.
But there's a special movie out there if you haven't seen it. Anytime you ever get a reply from me, it's supposed to be read, "Thank you so much." It's from the movie. It's from the movie Hot Rod, and I love it.
Oh man, if you have not seen Hot Rod, it's worth it. Just for thank you so much. It's worth it just for that.
That's how it's meant to be read.
Oh,
That's
yeah.
How it's, the emphasis that I mean is from that movie. So go check it out. And
Absolutely.
You might not like me after that, but you might like me even better. Who knows?
I will tell you the Hot Rod story real quickly because the man knows. We discuss Saturday Night Live comedy. We're into this stuff. SNL always has at least 2 cast members that I just want to kill.
Yeah.
And one of them was Andy Samberg.
At any given time.
I never got it. I'm like, why do people like this guy so much? Because if he was worth the crap, he would be doing live stuff. All he does is video shoots. I don't get it. Who cares? And then Hot Rod comes out, and I'm like, it's Andy Samberg. Who cares? And the man told me, he's like, you need to watch this anyway. I think you'll like it. And oh my God, was he correct? Because it is great. I love it. And then it carries over to Brooklyn Nine-Nine. So, because I love that too. And I'm like, oh, this is so good. So there, every now and again, I'm very bad to knee-jerk on everything. But when you get them wrong, sometimes you get some gold. And I'm telling you, I love that kid now, man. But it all started with Hot Rod. And God, I'm glad you mentioned that because I hadn't thought about that in a minute.
It was one of those I had convinced myself it was in another movie. And then I was like, no, it was Bill Hader.
Yes, Bill.
And it was in that movie.
Yeah,
So
the
I was like, well,
emergency room Bill Hader.
Yeah. If you can get to that scene, you can cut it off. If you want to keep watching, go right ahead. But I think you'll do yourself a favor to get to the end.
Do everything you can to stick around long enough for, gosh almighty.
Chris Parnell?
Yes, thank you.
He likes stunts.
Oh, my God. Parnell, excuse me, literally everything he says is wonderful just because of that voice. He's Dr. Spaceman from 30 Rock. He was awesome in that. That's cool.
So that's, any comment or reply that ever replied to a comment, that's what it's meant.
That's what it sounds like.
So, the 4th of July was this past week, and that, I get to tell my annual Peachtree Road Race story, which is pretty much the same story, but it's just fun. And did a Peachtree video, and it's getting to the point where I guess it's kind of like I have my landmarks to hit along the course, and now it's kind of well, what else do you do? So, try to give some tips for people that might want to do it, and try to make it a little bit funny, but still straight up shoot, brother. Because honest to God, every bit of it's like if you want to make it through the race, do the stuff in that video, and some other stuff I'll probably forget.
Not a word of it a lie.
No,
sir.
The only other thing I kind of did a little bit different this year was, they bumped up the start, I should say, because they were worried about the heat. And I was out there, and I was doing it, and when you're going, because I had my copper fit crap on, I'm thinking I'm covered pretty good, I'll be all right. I didn't bother with any sunscreen, because usually all that does is make me sweat even more. On that type of day, you're going to sweat enough. And so I didn't do any of that, which is kind of a bad move because I got way too much sun, but it really was more from the heat on the street. I think I got like a burn on my legs, but it wasn't from it's just different than a sunburn. And it's one of those kind of things I didn't notice until I was done. I was out there doing it because you don't really feel it until I got to Piedmont Park, and I was like, get me out of here now. And so I got my shirt and got my burger on.
Yes,
and
sir.
That's one of the awesome things about going directly to the Vortex or wherever you go is I was so dehydrated. It was like one beer, and I was like, whoa, whoa, whoa.
How y'all doing? Woo! I'm all a party man.
Hot dang.
Woo, I'm the bill of the bone.
So you have that to look forward to. If you ever come out and do the race, it's like, it won't take much once you're done. You'll
You
be
get
like,
drunk quick.
honestly, I mean, I got to the vortex, did my little change out in the turlet, and just did not realize just how much I had sweat that day till I took the shirt I had on off. And it's like,
That's a Vortex naked burger.
yeah. And one of the things, I guess one of my stupid traditions that it doesn't make sense to anybody but me is, and I forgot to mention it in the one video, so I'll say it now, is you get your cherished, coveted Peachtree Road Race t-shirt, which this year was kind of like, when you saw the design, but you wear it that day and you never, I wear it that day and never wear it again. It's not that I want, if somebody asked me to do it, I'll be like, fine, you're weird for asking me to do that, but whatever. But it's one of those things I can't explain why I do, but I just do it that way. And but that's pretty much it. Finally got to try the pickle Rick at
Fantastic.
the Vortex, and it was one of those burgers that they released it after the Rick and Morty episode from about this time last year, and it got huge, and it wasn't going to stay around on the menu. It would come and go, and just looked up and it was on the menu for the 4th. I was like, okay, well I gotta try it.
Gotta know, man.
It's, pimento cheese, bacon cheeseburger with their version of Szechuan sauce and a fried pickle on it. So I was like, it works, and it's awesome to go check it out. So go do that.
That's awesome, man.
And my other curveball that I threw myself was I'd been trying to get out to see the Mr. Rogers' Won't You Be My Neighbor documentary. I saw that it was going to be playing at Atlantic Station, which is not far off the beaten path when you're going to be in Piedmont Park anyway.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So I was like, okay, I'll make a day of it. Good neighbors. I'll
That's
go
right.
finish the race, and I'll go watch the movie. And I knew at that point, like, oh, that's dangerous territory, because when you get done with the race, the other part of the tradition, you get done with the race, go drink something, you go eat something, come home and power nap for about 2 hours. And I still did that, but I was like, can you throw a movie in there before you do that? And I was like, I don't know, I'll try it. Especially considering the subject, I was like, I don't know if I can make it through Mr. Rogers talk.
Fred's so calming, man.
Yeah.
You get so comfortable.
Wasn't a problem.
Awesome.
I made it through without any hint of dozing off, because it's so freaking good. It's one of those documentaries that I guess I expected a lot from it. So I went in with really high hopes, and for it to even come close, I considered it, good. So,
Yeah, man.
and it does, man. That this, just knowing that show was like on pretty heavy when I was a kid, and didn't appreciate it enough when I was younger, because I just thought it was just this old man talking. It's like, who cares? Until I got older, and you kind of see what he had a really interesting, and just like when TV just started, essentially this show starts, and from the jump, he had a really unique perspective on TV, and children's TV in particular. And I'll let you go to the documentary and get your thoughts on that. But he started working in other TV shows, but he just didn't like the way, and wanted to start in seminary, and a roundabout way ended up basically getting the message out through television to little kids. He didn't like the way that kids were being marketed to, and like made to be little consumers when they're even freaking Captain Kangaroo was selling cereal and junk like that on his show, and Bozo the Clown was selling stuff. So it's like, you think, he's one of the guys that just never did that, because they had sponsors and they had people to uh, try to please, but it wasn't to that level to where make the kids go buy it, buy. You make the kids' parents buy it. So it just it's just an awesome documentary, and you just don't realize some of the problems they ran into with dealing with the show, and it's just stuff that I forgot. That they get into that just it's it's kind of a crappy reviews. Like, oh, just go watch it, but go watch it.
Yeah, man.
Is it one that you necessarily have to run out to see? Because I'm sure it'll be on Netflix soon enough, or whatever streaming service it'll end up on. But definitely worth a watch, and it just really, you just get they tell the story very well of how, man, this dude was just no very, very genuine, and if there was skeletons in the closet, as long as he's been gone, they would have come out by now. So they're not there. So everything you see the guy say and do was legit and real. And one of the interesting things about the documentary that interviews with his kids that I never knew he had until now. And you have the one son that looks just like the mother, and it shows up for the interview all business like and in his suit and tie and stuff. And he even says the words in the movie, said it wasn't very easy having the second coming of Jesus as your father. And you kind of get that feeling definitely when you see the other son with the long hair and the Pittsburgh Pirates hat, and gives you that kind of look like one of those guys. Like, well, I just got weird vibes coming off the screen when he was on. Like, man, he didn't take this very well. And I could understand them having bad feelings towards the dad, because it feels almost like, well, he was the dad to every kid in the world but me. And they don't have that to say. I'm not claiming that that's what they were trying to get across, but I could understand them feeling that way if they said that. And they don't come out and say that, but you get that feeling where it's like, well, what you can't blame him for wanting to leave a legacy like that, and he did. Only two really tearjerker type scenes. I thought there would be a lot more. I was expecting it to be like Niagara Falls the whole time.
It's our best. God.
There's the Daniel the Striped Tiger. Sometimes I feel like I'm a mistake song that I'd never seen that clip before, and that was one. And then there was the scene with I forget the kid's name, but he was one of the kids that wrote to him. His parents wrote to him. He was in a wheelchair, and what wasn't looking good, and so those are the two scenes where it was really kind of like, but just a lot of stuff, problems that went into getting the show made that you just never would have thought of coming up. So it's definitely worth checking out and go see it. I never knew that his he sits down with Tom Snyder, and I looked and tried to find this interview on YouTube just to see if I could see the full thing, because they showed a little clip of it, and it's straight up the Dan Aykroyd Tom Snyder impersonation of I'm gonna tell you I'm gonna work my little question in that'll be such a zinger. But and it is, he asked the question that he asked is, do you mind me asking this question? I don't want to be offensive, but are you square? Are you square? Which to me is essentially him just saying, like, the question in a very dumb way. He's asking the question like, how can you be this person 24/7? And he just was, and he is, and and he answers it in as cool a way as he can. He had to deal with one of the members of his cast being gay that I never knew, and in the documentary it makes it seem like, well, that this is going to be the chink in the armor. Like, Fred wasn't as accepting as he thought, was he? And considering the time that this happened, He completely was, because he didn't tell this person, get off the show, never come here again. He just simply told him, you were seen at this part of the city, you can't go there anymore, because of what it could do to everything that's been done on the show. And that's where, if there's any part of the advertisers and the power of PBS being like, sticking their nose in, that if there's any part of what happened with that show, it was probably that. And I think he did it and handled it in the best way he could, considering that just wasn't as accepted at that time. And he didn't tell this person, well, you'll never be seen on this show again. He just said, for everything that we're doing on the show, you can't be seen there anymore. And you just, and he didn't tell him not to do that anymore. He just said, find another way to do it. And I'm putting words in his mouth a little bit, but it felt like that's what they were going to try to get into, like, oh, homophobe Fred, and then it's like furthest from the truth. So anyway, that's would have been a little bit longer in that review than I intended to.
That's cool, man.
So, but definitely, it leaves you. This is an awesome, story, and a fun way to go spend the 4th.
Heck yeah, man.
So that's what I get to go do.
They got the footage with him and Coco in it.
Oh man, shout out to Coco the gorilla.
Yeah.
Coco the gorilla is in the movie, and I
Yeah.
forgot to mention, it was Coco a her.
As far as I know, Coco was a her.
I forgot to mention her last week, because no disrespect to Coco, but coming up, being brought up out here, I was a Willie B kid, and Willie B was my first gorilla, and I just thought it was so asinine, just the people trying to crap on Coco the other week. Like, it wasn't real sign language. Like, well, come the heck on.
The fascinating thing about Coco is there's 2 stories about Coco that are just awesome. One of them is the Mr. Rogers story.
Yeah.
I watch Mr. Rogers every day, and so Fred went to meet her, and the story that I don't think was on the show, but the story is that Fred walks in and he's got his cool outfit on, because it really was him, and Coco looks at him and literally, while looking at him, signs the word friend, and then goes across the room and gives him this crazy awesome hug.
Yeah.
And again, it's not real stuff. Okay, cool. Wasn't, but the lady that worked with Coco got it. The other thing is the super famous quote when they ask Coco where gorillas go when they die. Have you ever seen that quote?
No.
It's fascinating. They ask Coco where gorillas go when they die, and she signs the word comfortable whole bye. And I don't care if it's the proper sign language or not. That is telling you that it's very weird. Elephants, I've read tons of stories about elephants too. Obviously elephants mark passing, and they mourn their dead, and they build like grave sites.
Yeah.
But there's also study that suggests that elephants have religious ceremonies. It's like they pray. So I just think it's fascinating, this idea that animals have this concept, anything bigger than, like Coco. What would Coco know about comfortable whole bye? It's like, you're just gonna go rest forever. That's unbelievably like, whoa, that's awesome, man. So yeah, people have fun, and it's Jerry Seinfeld's fault. It's George Costanza's Coco the Monkey jersey that people think all that stuff's funny. It's like, that's cool. I'm with you. I think it's awesome. That is fascinating, man.
Yeah.
But I'm glad you saw Fred. I haven't seen it yet because I'm an idiot and I just wait till things come out and buy them because I'm a moron and I don't have any room for that stuff. But by God, we'll find it.
It's one of those movies that I kept thinking like, well, eventually it'll get closer to the house and closer to the house, and then it falling on at that theater on that day is like, well, why not?
Yeah,
It's
that's
not-
awesome.
It wasn't that far out of the way to go over there and check it out, so had to take advantage of that one.
Yeah, man.
And then I guess my other movie review for this, it's really a lot quicker, a lot better. I went to go see Antman and the Wasp, and after the first viewing, maybe I'll think different of it later, but I think this is by far of the recent Marvel movies definitely the most skippable. And that's pretty much the long and short of it. I think one of the things that hurt this movie the most is when it got announced as being titled Ant-Man and the Wasp. Like, man, that's awesome. They're gonna focus on a female superhero lead character. Unfortunately, in the meantime, you had Wonder Woman come out and be very good and very successful, and you had Captain Marvel get announced and who was playing it, so everybody kind of like, we forgot all about the Wasp, which, you know, she's still represented well in the movie, but people were kind of, the cool factor of that is definitely long past, and Black Panther did the one-off movies so well that you could just go. It was fun to go watch one that, like, man, just didn't build toward anything that's been building toward in a while, but still did in a weird way. But you could go into that one without having seen any of the other ones, and it still made plenty of sense.
Oh yeah.
This one, you won't know what's going on. Plus, nothing gets moved forward. It's just kind of, well, this is kind of a waste of everybody's time, now, isn't it? I love the actress playing Ghost. I don't know her name. She was awesome, but you know, her whole dilemma, kind of like, this doesn't really make much sense either. And so there's just all this kind of spinning tires in the mud kind of feel. This movie, we're kind of like, we're doing all this and it ain't gonna mean crap at the end of this, and guess what? It doesn't.
We're over here waving our arms around, making this big old fuss, and Thanos still happened. So
Yep.
there's that.
That's the long and short of it.
Yeah, man.
And it feels like when you get to the little cut scene at the end of the movie, you're like, well, that was what we kind of sit through to see this for. To see, they told us all along. Well, Ant-Man takes place before the Infinity War.
The finger snap of doom.
Yeah, the finger snap. And then it's like, okay, that's fine. And they kind of get it. Well, still another thing from the pitch meeting, guys are like, oopsie, kind of moments, because you have this whole movie going on that's taking place before the Infinity War debacle.
Debacle. I love that word.
But your cut scene, obviously, there's been a lot of time to take place between the end of the movie and what goes on in this cut scene, which is what happens at the end of Infinity War. So you're kind of like, so that really didn't happen. So he could have been there. They're like, yeah, oopsie.
Well, you know, it was before, but not that far before. Well, then he could have been there. Whoops. Never mind. See ya. Thank you for coming.
Bye-bye.
Man, I read this thing the other day I thought was awesome. It was about Boogie Cousins signing with the Warriors, which is overblown. We'll get to that later. But it was like, you know, Golden State Warriors announced the signing of John Wick and Thanos for their bench in 2018. It's awesome.
And I don't mean to make it sound like it's a total. It's not a crap movie. It's just a waste of time. In that, you know, you're kind of like, okay, well, this isn't moving towards anything remotely that's going to happen, because you have this mysterious buyer character that's trying to buy up all this PIM technology that you kind of realize like is never going to amount to be anybody, because guess what? It doesn't happen in this movie. So it's like, so you keep thinking like, well, who was that character that was this other character is buying stuff for? Then you realize like they're never going to pay that off, so don't worry about it.
Don't worry about it.
you're not supposed to care because it's dumb. There's a killer scene at the beginning of the movie where they did some more Robert Downey Jr. Making him look younger from Civil War. They took Michael Douglas back to War of the Roses.
Yeah.
And Michelle Pfeiffer back to not quite Batman Returns, but a few years before Batman Returns, and to do a little scene at the beginning. Like, oh man, that was pretty cool, but it's kind of downhill from there.
Oh man.
So you realize you sat through this whole movie just for this little cut scene after the movie ends and the cut scene comes on. Then you sit through the credits and you get the cut scene at the end that's totally asinine and has nothing to do with anything. You're like, I sit through the credits thinking, maybe we'll get some more Captain Marvel, and you get what you get, and you're like, now I'm upset that y'all did this. So maybe
jerks.
Maybe that's what ticked me off the most, is just the end scene after the credits was such a letdown. I was like, I know this is just bullcrap right here.
That's not cool, man.
I'm ready for y'all to die now.
Yeah, I'm with you that we were talking about it earlier, and you made a really good point, man, that you've got to switch it up. I mean, everybody's miserable after Infinity War, and you got to change the tone, and that's all good, but I don't know, man. I know that everybody has a reason that Solo was awful and it's not successful and la-di-da, and I mean, some of it's just plain fatigue, man. I mean, they're burning this candle pretty quick.
And give it a rest.
Yeah, you can step away for a bit if you want to. I mean, I'm with you. I'm glad that, excuse me, I'm glad we've got Wasp in the story now. I haven't seen the movie, but I just like Wasp. I shouldn't say that, because what I like is Janet Van Dyne, and I appreciate that it ain't her. But it's cool. You can still do cool stuff. It's fine, man. Yeah. But it's a strange thing. I get you're going to keep putting movies out, and I really do appreciate that you need to change the tone up, and they can't all be super heavy, for God's sake. Let's not just, you already out DC. You don't have to do that every single movie, and that's good. They're not gonna. They're not gonna. But that was a point I was going to make there. I don't know what the heck it was. Doesn't matter. But I just hate that. I hate that it's not landing.
It was. They wanted it to be more of a curveball, but it just didn't quite curve quite enough.
Yeah, you throw that curveball in it and stays in the zone, you can get in trouble.
Flunked.
Yeah.
And it's fine. It's fine. The movie is just kind of like, it's. I know now how people feel about Thor 2, because I loved that one, and I thought it was totally worth watching, but a lot of people trashed it. I get it. I feel about this movie the way they felt about that one. I felt like this has nothing, offers nothing, and that's the worst part about it. The biggest sin of any movie is to be boring. It's not boring. It's just skippable. You don't need it. If any of them you could skip, I think this is probably top of the list. You just don't need it. Yes. And as much as people thought they're going to get into explaining the Phantom Realm, you could explain everything they explained about the Phantom Realm in one scene.
Because they did.
And that's the long and short of that. So you need a whole movie for it. So that's what's up with the Antmans.
That's right. The Antmans and the Waspish.
So last night was the. Do you want to do the?
Oh yeah, let's do it. That's cool.
G-1 special from the Cow Palace in San Francisco.
Cow Palace, baby.
Bye, cracky. I dug the show. Thought it was tons of fun. Didn't watch every single bit of it, because it was a long show. It's one of those shows that like had it on in the background and doing other stuff on the computer and checking in here and there. But every match that I sat down and watched most of, I dug.
I broke it up over yesterday and today, and I'm with you. I dug it for the most part. I really dug it too. I've got all this stuff written down, but I'll just talk about the ones I remember. The 10-man match at the beginning was cool, but there's a lot of bias there because I'm a huge Gorillas of Destiny fan, so it was just nice to see them. It was cool. I like that. You had sorry, I'm drinking that too fast. Takahashi and Chase Owens, and I think that's his name. I always get that kid's name wrong. And it was neat to see Haku because he's Haku. It was cool. It was cool because I loved them, so that was awesome. And Tamatonga again, when he is in full-on face paint mode, is the coolest looking wrestler on earth. So that's kind of awesome. What the heck was that second thing? I know it was all tag matches in the beginning, but second one, I was really surprised by this one because it was Toru Yano and Tomohiro Ishii against Minoru Suzuki and Zack Sabre Jr. I'm not a Zack Sabre guy. We've discussed it before. He's just not my guy. Minoru Suzuki I love because I'm a human being, and if you're a human being and you watch pro wrestling, we all love Minoru Suzuki. But I was really happy that Yano and Ishii won. I don't know why. I was very pleased because Toru Yano just entertains the crap out of me, and him and Ishii is kind of a comedy murderer tag team. I love that anyway. I'm a big fan of Great Bash Heel, and I like that when you put some killer with a funny dude. I was telling Jared when the Briscoes were doing that, when Mark wasn't a comedy wrestler, but he was a lot funnier, and Jay's Jay. And now they're just straight up heels, and that's cool. But I think, I say this all the time, and it might not have anything to do with nothing, but everything that makes the Uzos good is them doing a kind of sorry impersonation of the Briscoes. I like the Uzos, man, but come on. Compared to the Briscoes, they ain't nothing.
Yep.
So then it's like, oh, we're heels, and oh, now we're kind of baby faces. So Ring of Honor decides, hey, you guys want to be heels? And the Briscoes are like, right on, Daddy-O. And man, they're kicking it. They're very good. Anyway, got sidetracked. Sorry. In the freaking All-Star game of just awesome pairings and great people, you had Marty and the Hangman against Tanahashi and Kushida. And man, Tanahashi and Kushida might have tagged together 1,000 times, but I've never seen it before, and I loved it because I really like both of them. So that was cool. And it's very smart. That was a very good piece of booking where you've got the Bullet Club go over, which is good because, you know, at the last Ring of Honor show, Bullet Club lost everything. So this is good. I mean, this is New Japan. I get that. But it's cool. And the reason I like it so much is I think it's the A block that Tanahashi and Hangman Page are in together. So that was the whole thing. Is like, yeah, I'd beat up Kushida and you're next. And it's cool. That's good stuff, man. That was a good match. We've talked about that too. Like some of the tandem stuff between Paige and Marty was really good. Like I know they tag up and do that kind of stuff, but man, they had just a couple of things I really enjoyed. 'Cause I love tag wrestling and I love tandem offense, and I like both those dudes, so it's quite cool. We were talking earlier about the huge gulf between Marty Scurll's intimidating ring entrance gear and just what a goofball he is in the ring. And not always. I mean, he really can go in multiple directions. It's quite funny. But I love that guy. Marty, it's weird. 2 months ago, if you'd asked me who my favorite Bullet Club member was, I probably couldn't have told you. Now I can definitely. It's not even close. It's Marty Scurll, and then whoever's second is... I guess if we're doing Bullet Club top to bottom, it almost have to be Tama Tonga, but I just love the Gorillas, man. Mentioning that again. What do we got? Goto versus Jeff Cobb was cool because I like Goto. I think he's underrated. And it was very interesting because they were showing the highlight video of Jeff Cobb, and I'm like, look at this guy, man. This freaking Gary Albright looking dude. And that's exactly what Barnett said during the match. Like, hey, it makes you think of Gary Albright. I'm like, yeah, he does. I'm with you. There's a great video of Albright circling around the internet now of him wrestling Vader. And I mean, throwing the guy around. It's Vader, for God's sake. And he's suplexing the guy like I'm throwing this bottle around. It's horrifying, man. Gary Albright was a scary cat, man. Young Bucks versus Evil and Sonata. I wanted Evil and Sonata to win just because I like LIJ. It's not time to take the belts off the Bucks, though. It was great because it's them. It was great. Awesome match. Loved it. Let's see. Naito and Bushi against Okada and Ospreay. I can only be honest about this. Excuse me. Love LIJ. Love Tetsuya Naito. Like Bushi quite a bit, too. And when I was going back through making the card, man, and I see Bushi coming down with his weird Venom mask with like the tongue coming out of the eye, it was like, oh, that's cool, man. And I literally could not remember who they wrestled. And I hate to be that way, but the fact of the matter is, I like Okada. I don't love him, but I like him. And Ospreay does nothing for me. I've seen Will Ospreay I thought that him and Marty Scurll had a great match, but he's just not my guy in general. I literally forgot. It's chaos, for God's sake, and I forgot him. Like, I felt kind of bad about that. And they won, too. Ospreay pinned Bushi, so I should have remembered that, but boy, I didn't. And then, for the love of God, you get Hiromu Takahashi and Dragon Lee. And I'm very sad to say that Jared's informed me that Takahashi did indeed break his neck on that spot, which I hate. Yeah. But before I knew that one got my little star because that was far and away my favorite match of the night. I could not believe how good that was. Especially, I just recently watched the I almost said it again. I've been calling it the G-1 all day, the J Cup. I cannot believe how good that final is, man. So Takahashi, like the last 3 things I've seen him do have just been extraordinary, and there's dangerous bumps in him, and boy, it was real dangerous last night, and I hate hearing that because that match was awesome. That match opens awesome. It's like the very first spot in it. Takahashi jumps out of the ring, and he goes over to Josh Barnett, and he gives him Daryl Jr., and he gives him the J Cup to watch over. And he's getting back. He's still got his Jimmy Hart jacket on, still got his belt on, and he hops back up on the apron. And freaking Dragon Lee goes over the top rope and Hurricane Rana's him off the apron. That's how they open the match. And it's like, whoa, baby, they got started. It was, God, what a good match. I loved it. I was really, really impressed with that and loved it. And now it hurts my feelings to say that because I hate that he got that hurt. But when you see it, it's like,
it's very believable.
Oh, God.
And I think it's still to be determined what level, if it's career threatening, life threatening, or just, come back.
Man, you lucky, dude.
But it's they've been diagnosed at the very least some type of break.
That's the man. I'm hoping. Here's hoping Hiramu's back quick and everything's cool.
Yeah.
Because I don't need another Shibata, man. That was too sad. Come on, I got my screen all jacked it. Juice Robinson and Jay White, which was awesome. I have a hard time. I'm an idiot, and I wrote it in there as Juice versus Jay. No one I watch Ring of Honor, man. You can't just say Jay, because Jay White used to work there, Jay Lethal, Jay Briscoe. There's no good coming from that. I should have put Switchblade in there. Yeah. But that was fantastic, by the way. We were talking earlier about Juice Robinson promos are awesome. He's really quite funny.
Yeah.
And he had a line at the press conference. I love this. I was cracking up. And he's like, the thing, Jay, is that everything about you is tied up in you having that belt, being that champion, man. Without that belt, you're just some weirdo counting to 5 in the dark. Like, that's awesome. So that match was really quite good. I thought that some of the, I get frustrated with Jim Ross often, and considering, I get now when you
some problems last night.
With that match, I'll cut him a break because when you see it, it's like, oh well, he's in it, so you have to. Mm-hmm. But Jim he's just not my guy. I love JR so much, but I just, he gets all huffy and defensive about, well, they told me to call it like a real sport. Well, I think that's a huge mistake because you just wind up, what happens is you wind up making the people putting on the show sound stupid.
Yeah.
That's not good, man. I'm not saying you got to go out there and explain, no, man, this is feeding and this is selling and this is how you pace the story. I know he knows that. He's an insider, but it's just like, man, you just wind up making them sound like Jared made the point.
Calling out referees.
Like trashing Red Shoes for not counting to 20. And it's like, I get it, because you want that to be a hard and fast rule, because this is sport, you got to have rules. But it's like, dude, he's in on it. He knows what they're setting up. If you start burning through a freaking count where they're trying to set up tables to not kill each other.
Outside the ring for a while, I ain't heard a count.
Which they almost killed Cody Rhodes anyway with that stupid table spot. God, that was gross, man. Yeah. But we'll get to that in a second. Sorry. Juice Robinson, Jay White was cool, and I'm glad Juice is U.S. champ. I hope he'll stick around long enough to be at center stage because it's only a couple of weeks away, so I'm hoping we'll get to see him. And then we had Kenny and Cody, and I should have started with that because the main event, that's what we're all here for, man. And Jared's had to hear this already, man, but we will go back and forth on this. I cannot tell you how disappointed with that match I was, man, and it's just, the table spot sucked because I just hate whenever anybody misses like that. It just makes you feel worse. It's bad enough you're trying to take that bump, and then when it winds up going, not wrong, but it didn't go right.
Yeah.
And then the superplex from the ladder was fantastic. That really was fantastic because Omega's rotation and Cody, it was perfect. Yeah. Omega took the bump perfectly, man. Cody rotated him right to the spot. It was great. It was just really, really good. But my ultimate problem with the match, and maybe I should watch it again, and maybe I'll like it better, because the Bucks and Evil and Sonata is the only one I watched twice because I'm a tag team dork, and I had to see it again. Okay. But it just, I complained to Jared about, this was, God, a month and a half ago now, that Flip Gordon, the guy that about the only person on the Ring of Honor roster that I just cannot get down with. Yeah, I know, he's on being the elite, so I'm supposed to think he's awesome, but I don't. I just don't like him. Because, again, it goes back to, I'm not an Ospreay guy. I don't like Will Ospreay, so the, 4th level printer running out of ink, Xerox of him isn't going to do it for me either.
Yep.
So, he had a match with Shane Taylor. And it's probably the worst, as far as logic is concerned, it might be the worst wrestling match I've seen in Ring of Honor in a long time, because it went on forever, which is no problem with giving guys time. But it's literally just Shane Taylor doing offense on top of offense on top of offense with a 2 count and more offense and a little more offense and a 2 count and more offense and a 2 count and a killer move and a 2.5 count and a murder move and a 2 3/4 count. And then Flip pops up and does his stupid little move and wins. And I hate that stuff. I hate it. I don't like when John Cena does it. Didn't like it back in the day when Hogan did it. But at least Hulk gave you the show and hulked up first.
Yeah.
It's the dumbest thing ever, especially when you see Flip Gordon and Shane Taylor. Shane Taylor's not a little guy. He's crazy, he's trimming down. But he's still a big dude, man. So you've got the big monster doing all of his power moves, and the skinny gymnast keeps kicking out and then beats him with one move. It was awful. Kenny and Cody kind of did the same thing, except the ending didn't have the twist. It was just Cody Rhodes getting his ass kicked the entire time, and the reason it didn't work for me, it's not that I was pulling for him to win. I wanted Kenny to win. But, man, it winds up making Kenny look kind of bad. It's like, man, it took everything that you've got plus some and with absolutely no fight back, except for the superplex. And it's just like, man, it just didn't work for me. I hated it. And then also the stuff the joke I made earlier, man, all the stuff at the end, that was what the show lasted so long. The show itself was actually only 88 minutes long. The 4.5-hour runtime was all the shenanigans at the end. But the joke I was making was, I'm sure you guys have seen the little slide picture of Vince McMahon with the excited picture, then he's getting more, and then with the third one, it's like the first one will be a picture of Roman and he's all happy, and then it's Roman versus Brock and he's getting all excited, and then it's Roman versus Roman and he looks like he's pleasuring himself. Yeah, it's like Randy Marsh.
It's conceptual.
Yeah, exactly, man. But that's the picture of Vince McMahon pleasuring his consensual penis. Y'all know what we're talking about. Well, I was telling Jared that was Ghetto last night, because Ghetto loves that Dusty Finish Memphis stuff. Oh man, the Tongans, kill him, oh yeah, Cody's coming back, oh god. so this is ridiculous, man. Just wrap it up already.
That was the part of the show where it's kind of like, it really did drag on a little bit.
I'm telling you.
A whole lot too long.
88 minutes for the rest of the show, no kidding.
It's like, man, I like the split, and I like them splitting it the way they did, but I just wanted Cody to be with them and, to come down and get that chair to swerve and go after them. It's like, hey, this is dumb.
I wasn't feeling it. I don't know. It just part of my thing is I'm very selfish. I told Jared earlier I'm very, very selfish. So the idea of the Tongan faction is great. I'm totally cool with that because I love the Guerrillas of Destiny and I like Fale. I like those dudes. I'm cool with that, but I have my own means. I have my own ends that I'm hoping to get to.
They could have. I guess it would kind of defeat what they're wanting to do with the Tongan faction, but having Cody with it is like evolution again.
My thing with Cody is, this is the thing I didn't understand about bringing him back out, is I genuinely thought that the whole purpose was, okay, Kenny's vanquished him, and now you can have Cody go back to Ring of Honor and kind of separate from New Japan a little bit, because how many times are you going to fly over there? Well, then, like I said, when you find out they're running San Francisco every other month, maybe that's the idea. But it just seemed like, I guess my only real problem with it is that I'm not a huge Chaos guy. Love LIJ. Suzuki Goon is kind of fun. I'm all right with them. I just don't want every main event to be Bullet Club versus Bullet Club. Yeah. And ultimately, I'm not trying to yank those belts off the Bucks quite so fast, because they took forever for them to get them. And it's nice they have them. Yeah. But I just have a wish list of matches for New Japan. Number one on the card is the Guerrillas of Destiny versus Evil and Sonata. I want to see that so bad. And if it's not for the belts, that's okay. But I would love to see that. So maybe if you want to do like Young Bucks Guerrillas, which I'm assuming is one of the things that we're setting up to, if you want to have like is it pecking order here, son? And you have like LIJ jump them and beat the crap out of them, so then you get heat there, and then I would just love that. But I don't know if that would work either, though, because now the Bucks have beaten them twice. And I mean, if LIJ loses again, what do you do with them? At the same time, Japan's very different than here. It's not just like, oh, you lost on TV. What value are you to me? I mean, it's just you don't really get that stuff. So, Kenny Omega lost 3 times to Kazuchika Okada and then got a 4th, and no one minded, and that's great because man, look what they give you. Yeah. So it's
gotta make sense.
Yeah, I have a very hard time trying to fantasy book New Japan. I think it's one of the things I like about it is they just relax and watch it and enjoy it, because it's different. The mindset's different. I'm like, sweet, let's see what you get. But I hope that we don't wind up with too much Bullet Club on Bullet Club on Bullet Club all over the cards. I think I was saying I can see Chaos kind of taking a step back, only because after the run with Okada, it makes sense to have him maybe kind of struggle to find his feet. It's neat too, because he's doing like some totally different character work and a little bit wilder and more animated and barking at the crowd. I mean, not in a bad way, but it's just like, oh, he's doing something different.
Yeah.
That's cool, man. But I could see, you know, things don't go his way for a while, man. It's like the effing Rainmaker, man, and he puts it back on and becomes the man again. And one of the things, again, those like fantasy matches you want to see down the line, be it for the title or not, I would love to see him and Ibushi. I think Kota Ibushi and Okada would be crazy. So I'm hoping that these are the things we're setting up. Sorry to make the point once again. Tongan faction or the Guerrillas of Destiny versus Evil and Sonata. Oh crap!
Yep.
Or if you want to do all three of them against, you could have a handicap match. You could have all 5 members of LIJ against the Gorillas and Haku and Fale. Maybe you can balance that a little bit because Fale, you know, Bushi. If you had a handicap match with Bushi and Hiromu against Fale, that balances out.
Yeah.
If you didn't see it, Hiromu and Dragon Lee. I mean, the show was good. I'm sorry to. It's not that Cody and Kenny weren't good. It's that it's Kenny Omega, man. I mean, the bar is so unbelievably high. They're not all gonna do it for you.
Yeah.
So that's all. That's really all I mean. This is unfortunately the victim of his own success.
Yeah. It's a good problem to have.
Mm-hmm.
You know, when it comes to stuff like that.
It's a Jackie Brown match.
Yeah. And it can all be Phoenix from, you know, the real one.
That's right. They can't all be, you know, rap songs about consensual penises and, you know, how many. I was telling
Jigglers.
I was telling Jared, man, he like makes the pudding lyric, and then the next 17 lyrics are about pudding, and then it turns into a commercial for Jello. I'm like, man, is this dude still singing about pudding? God dang, man, how long is this? And then he's in the desert and he's burying himself. I'm like, man, what's happening here? So then I listened to his podcast. But actually, I listened to Simon Gotch ripping on him first.
Yep.
And then I listened to him talking to Stone Cold. And I'm like, I think I hear what Simon was talking about.
Yeah.
It sucks. It sucks to kick the man while he's down. But
it's like, just don't buy it. Don't buy it.
yeah, man.
I don't. Who knows what's liable to happen with that dude? I just don't think it's, you know, gonna work out too good.
Conor McGregor Part 2, man. I'm telling
Yeah.
you, I'm such a jerk about that guy, but I'm enjoying this very much because it's exactly what we said, man. You get the biggest payday of your life by going into Floyd Mayweather's backyard, and Floyd walks around you for 9 rounds and then punishes you. I've heard, I don't know if it's true or not, it's the internet, who knows, man, but I have heard that Conor McGregor suffered brain damage from that fight, which would not surprise me because when your hands are down that low and a professional fighter punches you in the face over and over again, even if it is just for 2 minutes, bad things can happen. So I don't know if it's true or not, but it wouldn't surprise me either. But what I do know is true is this. You got your big payday, and then you were going to make movies, and Hollywood said, tee-hee, ha-ha-ho-ho. Then you were going to sign up with Vince McMahon because you're doing a little strolling. That's what you were born to do, la-di-da. And you get huffy because that girl's making more money than you are. So that didn't work out either because it's like, well, I got to make more money than Rhonda. And they said, hey, best of luck in best of luck in your future endeavors, Hondo.
Before you even started.
Yeah, so then you decide that you're going to go goad Floyd Mayweather into a rematch, and Floyd's like, because you knew that's what it was going to be. Oh, he's a coward. He won't fight Conor McGregor in the octagon. Why would he?
No.
Why would he? I've said it. I said it when we did it on the show, man. Before the fight, after the fight, the money is in Floyd. Why on earth? You know, it's like saying, oh, Tom Brady's a coward for not being in the home run derby.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's literally, that's what you're saying. It's like, why on earth would he? Well, he'd get beat up if we went in the octagon. He damn well better. Like we talked about. We talked about that when it was like Ronda versus Floyd. Well, I think Ronda Rousey could beat up Floyd Mayweather in a UFC fight. I'm telling you, she better.
Yeah.
Yes, it's like, dude, I don't care who you're fighting against. If I don't know anything about what's going on and you're the champ, you got to win. So anyhow, none of that stuff matters anyway, except that one of my frustrations with the McGregor fight was that he didn't cut about half that paycheck to Ronda Rousey. And it's not that Ronda and Floyd was ever going to happen, but with them pushing that button, that's what got that ball rolling.
Yeah.
Now, they were never going to fight each other, but getting that UFC boxing crossover, that's what got that started. Yeah. You should have given her half that check. So her going to Stanford and stealing your WWE money, I love. I'm cool with that. Sweet justice, man.
Yeah.
Anyhow, I don't remember what I was going to say. Whenever I start saying anyhow, it means I'm repeating myself an awful lot.
Oh man, that's what's going down.
Consensual penis.
Enzo can't rap.